Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Miami University Esports. I am once again back in the chair, Xander Uilas Lewis, and I am with,
Elijah, otherwise known as Persuasionz.
and we are up against Eastern Michigan University in another match of the ESC NACE Conference. Going to be very interesting facing off this team. This was a team we did lose against previously in the previous ESC Conference season, the previous spring. But this year, the whole Eastern Michigan team is different. Whole new squad, whole new setup they have going for them. And right now, it doesn't look like they're doing that well. 0-4 in the first like 4 to 5 weeks. Not a great start to the season, I would say.
Oh no, that sounds like they have a lot of catching up to do, especially considering the fact that it seems like this might be one of the last days to try to get a chance to even get a placement on that board. If anything, it'll just be up to seeing how they place out tonight. It'll be a very fun showing to see exactly how the new roster replaces the old roster, and even seeing if they can bring some new synergy that can actually potentially even bring this competitiveness back that they have.
Speaking of that, the new roster for Eastern Michigan is as follows: the captain Rose, Aurora Skull, Nix Lotus, Pringle, and Ragix. Very interesting squad to see. They only have five, so it is just a squad of five. We do have two subs, but our team today will be going with the standard five of Alfonso, Sire, On, Puda Scooter, and Nitrous Oxide, our standard squad there, something we've been running for the past few weeks. They have been improving a lot as a team, as we saw yesterday. Some of their worst maps they have records on. They played them phenomenally well, better than they have ever had before. We did unfortunately lose 3-2 against Akron University last night, but it was a nail biter all the way till the end. Very good from both teams. However, this game today, we are looking to try out some new strategies on the side of Miami University, get some new weapons under our belt, maybe, just to try and deal with those comps. Like those balls and Symmetris have been the thing really pushing us back, causing these losses. Anytime we deal with these like hybrid counter type dive comps we face, it's not really our standard brawl that we run into. And not running into Zarya as well. Like our Zarya has gotten to a level where we do it so frequently, and it's gotten so good the only time we have lost with a Zarya comp was against BGSU, which was a team that primarily used Zarya before it was even good. So we will see how both teams do that. We will be going on to a little bit of a break here, though, while we get lobby finished up, setting up map picks, bans, all the shenanigans. But we will be back in a little bit. And we are into our first map of the series on Lijiang Tower in the city. So we will see what both teams decide to play. It does seem like Miami University and Eastern Michigan are both deciding to go with that Zarya comp, Otzel, and Cooter Scooter. Or maybe a little bit of a hybrid ball. Maybe it's just messing around the spawn there. Yeah, it's definitely a mess around the spawn there. Sire and Echo, that's a terrible idea.
Yeah, I was wondering to see how they're going to play this out, but I would love to see a Pooter playing ball, but unfortunately he's going to be going to Zarya. It's still one of his much stronger characters. Plus this portal alone is going to give them a great chance to really get this engagement going really early. If anything, now they're getting the fight started to the team, to Michigan themselves in their spawn door, getting Zarya already down 25% health and getting Zarya charged already way over the enemy Zarya, but unfortunately losing Alfonso. Oh no, getting a kill on with Alfonso.
Alfonso finding a pick on Nix there. That was a very good group up there for Booster. We got a lot of alt charge, but just shooting into the corridor with those right clicks. They do get this first cap, most likely. Losing a Lucio like that is not very good. It turns off the tempo for Eastern Michigan quite a bit. Eric's going to keep fighting the central air. Also falling really low. Raychik's also falling low as well. On finding a very good initiation there. Oh, may have used that Wraith a little bit too early, but he does manage to get the hell back to stay alive. Nix and Raychik's falling so low already. Start finding these like half area shots, playing this off angle very well compared to what we've seen before. And Pooter is always at this high charge. Oh, a little bit of a mess up teleport there. On manages to get the picks on Rages because of that little mess up. Rose does find Sire though, but unlucky without the Reaper that they don't really have any front line for Eastern Michigan. And on falls, that's both TPS gone from Miami, but with Cooter at such high charge, it doesn't really matter.
Yes, if anything, I'm very surprised on how passive Michigan's being right now. They're really just staying in this room for almost to 50% already, and most of this fight has been inside of the room or in the corridor. They have an advantage in ult economy, but they're just not pushing it enough. If anything, they might get ulted right here by Miami's side.
Huge grab there from Miami. Scooter does fall, but not before getting a very wonderful grab, allowing for a 3K from On because of it. And this Lucio still staying alive. A little bit of a chase down here from Alfonso, and On picks it up for the 4K. Very nice there. And one ult, one win. That's what we want to see a lot of times from these Miami. Having this ult economy, they'll be able to just kind of steam rush. Two ults, game over.
Yes, if anything, due to this engagement, it seems like this is potentially going into the last fight territory. And thanks to this Kasune from Miami, now we have an early pick on the tank, and now they have no choice but to kite back, leaving them in the very last fight. And even now, it might just be too late. They have to force an engagement from Lucio or maybe Reaper. And even with that, they just might have to use the ult to get it done.
Yes, Nick's falling very early there. And then Nitrous Oxide finding the long shot pick. What is this, COD? But this is very good engage there from Miami. But they do touch because of the grab. But he is kind of alone there. He decides to die. There's not really much he could do. Very unfortunate in the first round going to Miami. Very dominant there. They played ults very well. And honestly, Eastern Michigan not playing in the best positioning. Don't want to be in that room with both a Reaper and McCree. That Zarya also not really having the best self-awareness. He got stuck on the chairs and tables in that room multiple times. That's what we saw happen with the Katina Rush. On was going to pop Blossom so early there, but he saw the Katina Rush damage increase and also fire rate increase, just allowed him to burst on the Zarya who was stuck on the chair.
Yeah, no bad words from Miami. They just showed a overwhelming presence of just being one-sided right there. Eastern Michigan just really kind of stuck on the back burner of just being very passive and just not really showing that they themselves are a threat to be reckoned with, or force to be reckoned with. They have another chance to engage now, but it seems like even right now, Miami has the gas turned on and already toward the aggression on them.
Oh, that's falling very low. Very good get out there, but Sire on the left side, that's what we want to see. Very good improvement of the timing there. Sire getting so good at seeing these off angles. That's what you want to see from a hit scan player. Don't play that main line. Let your Reaper, let your Zarya deal with that and go on the off angle. Find these shots that will take out these characters getting melted down by Pooter and On. Sire already near 60% of his Deadeye. And Alfonso, unfortunately, only has about a 50%. But this is looking very good from Miami. And very smart of Eastern Michigan, though, to go in that left side instead of on the bridge to not get moved off, because we have seen Alfonso hit a few moves. Beautiful stun there, allowing Hostile to pick off on. Little over aggressive there. He couldn't get pop his Wraith in time. Alfonso here trying to find some speed, but they kind of have to back off the point just a little bit, make some room. They do not have their on the Reaper. Got a little bit of pressure here. Just trying to find a shot. Does get some damage on the Hostile. It probably won't be another. The Sin Rush comes out, allowing for Pooter to kind of run havoc here. And the rest of Miami collapses onto the back line. Very unfortunate there. That's what happens a lot of times. If you don't have a Kitsune Rush to match a Kitsune Rush, you get run over.
Yes, you really just can't let them run away with it like this. They seem like as soon as Sire got their ult started, it was just a negative situation for Michigan to be in. Plus, adding the Kasune to it, now leaving them in a over 50% deficit. And with Nitrous getting an early pick yet again, they just are getting left in the dust. If anything, Cassie's getting a chance to get his ult back and leaving them in a position where this might be the second to last fight right here before the whole objective is taken.
This is so uncoordinated here from Eastern Michigan. I don't know if we're playing in high play here or quick play. Like, what is happening here? They were not grouped up at all. Rage 6 decides to teleport on the bridge directly in front of all of Miami, gets melted down. And then there's the grab coming out from Scooter, just trying to keep him strong, not letting him touch. And it did kind of work. He's trying to run away. Unfortunately there, Aurora does pick off Scooter. He was a little bit far in. Sire does get nixed though. On does have the Blossom though. He's trying to play in a little bit of position. Just Oxide does get Rose, but he's unfortunate there. Also does pick off On. Just Oxide does get Aurora though. He is putting up a fight. Unfortunately, beautiful timing there. Good job getting out from Nitrous Oxide. I don't think he's even died yet this game.
Yes, if it was not for the Cassie of Eastern Michigan, they would have just had this be the last fight. But thanks to them getting that high noon, they get a chance to re-engage. But now, due to this very rushed beat grab, it just seems like this just leaves just another downhill. It was their last chance to get an engagement going, and it was just too much. If anything, Nitrous himself has just really been showing a very one-handed show on the carry department, and Cassie adding to that, just leaving them in a position where it seems like nothing can stop Miami right now.
It did seem like during most of that game, a lot of time Miami was just more team coordinated than Eastern Michigan. There's a lot of times where the DPS of Eastern Michigan just pushed down into angle that allowed them to get picked off. And honestly, it may have been a little bit also of a Kiri diff on the side of Miami. Nitrous Oxide had his ult like 20% earlier than the enemy Kiri on Eastern Michigan. And unfortunately, with Kiri ult, you need to match it a lot of the times. Otherwise, you will explode. That extra fire rate does make a difference, especially in these Zarya v Zarya comps. You will get melted down. You need to have it at the same time as the enemy Kiri in order to counter that. And that's why we've seen a lot of times Nitrous Oxide popping these Kiri ults as soon as he gets them, trying to get it out before the enemy Kiri can get theirs out to allow basically a free win. That's what we have to do. And also Miami University, very good from Sire, finally using these off angles like we've been saying. He's playing much better with finding these little off shots areas and hitting these shots, allowing for the cleanup. That's what you really want to do, especially when you're running a high frontline comp like Lucio, Zarya, Reaper. You don't need to play frontline. You don't have to play down the middle. Look for these other sides. Play with your Kiri, but defend her and be in these areas like the Nitrous Oxide is playing with these off angles, allowing for shots. Looked very nice there from Miami. Very dominant performance, and it does seem like our next map will be Kings Row, a map that Miami notoriously is not the greatest on. Hybrid is not their best mode, but it's not their worst. So we'll see how they decide to do. Kings Row, though, is probably one of the not our best hybrid map currently in the map rotation. We are a little bit better on both Hollywood and Eichenwald, but we'll see what Miami can do on Kings Row. However, Eastern Michigan, seeing how much of a difference that Kiri made for Miami, did decide to ban it. However, that may have just played into Miami's hands, mostly because Nitrous Oxide is not really known for his Kiri. His Ana, though, is his main character.
Yes, now they have, if anything, free room for their Ana. If anything, they thought that the Kiri was a very dominant showing. Wait till they see the Ana. Wait till they see even what other potential we have available. And now that we banned Reaper, it looks like it seems like now we have a free opportunity to just get as much rush as we want to, or at the very least, we can just keep aggressing this without having any overpowering close range combat to deal with at all. Besides, maybe if they try to run an off meta pick, but even with that, it just doesn't seem like it's worth it on Kings Row.
I think I can already predict Miami's playstyle here. It's probably going to be either, once again, most likely the Zarya, just because that tank is so oppressive right now. Nitrous on the Ana, Brig with the Alfonso, or Alfonso with the Brig. A little weird misspoken there. On will most likely be on the Genji. I don't think I've ever seen a Genji player not want to play Genji on Kings Row. And then, of course, Sire, either on the Cassidy or the Sojourn. Maybe a little bit of a sneaky Freya, but Freya right now in high tier play isn't that offensive. But we will be going to game here shortly. We will probably be seeing a little bit of a different comp here from EMU. They really had to change things up to maybe put up more of a fight on Kings Row against Miami. And honestly, good on them for picking Kings Row over a map like Eichenwald or Hollywood, because it is probably one of our weakest maps currently in rotation. But it is one we will work our hardest to win this game, and we are heading in now.
Yes, if anything, they just need to get a chance to just show where they can put their own aggression towards Miami. It just seems like for some reason, no matter what was happening, it just seemed like every single opportunity just left them in a position where they just couldn't get any forward motion, any lateral movement toward the point. It just seemed like it was constantly a domino where as soon as we get one pick or as soon as we get one ult showing, there was no kiting back, there was no off angle, there was no positional awareness where they could just get a chance to keep Miami off of their backs. And now that they run it into Kings Row, they'll have even less opportunities to get these angles started beyond just these small corridors. But it seems like they have a chance of running it with another Genji v Genji and then a Sojourn as well. But we will be mirroring it to see exactly how we fare against the same comp, but running Winston instead of Zarya.
Yeah, this is very good here for Miami. Eastern Michigan is playing a lot more of a counter. Ooh, on flight low already. Very nice right click there from Aurora. Very nice there. Putting in a lot of pressure on the backline Miami. They really had to get that high ground off of that Baptiste. Oh, unfortunately there. Rage finding Sire on in a little bit of a bad position. He does try to get out, and he does indeed get out of there. Ooh, very nearly getting, oh god, Rose there. You really got to keep this pressure on. Razor trying to be a little aggressive here. Very dangerous. The Aurora falling because Nitrous Oxide fighting the shots on, maybe looking in for a little bit of a dive. Oh, very unfortunate there. For Rose getting caught out in between both a Winston and a Genji, and that's just going to be the cleanup. One pick just like that, especially one on as important as Nix, can cause a lot of issues for as Aurora, which is a lot of all their frontline damage really for Eastern Michigan. Miami is playing kind of a very good dive like team here, and we've seen this dive before on a push map earlier this week or the previous week. Can't exactly remember, and it worked quite well in Miami's favor.
Yes, if anything, is forcing Eastern Michigan to be in a very uncomfortable position where even having an ult economy higher than our Genji, they switched off of it to Torb just to try to get more space in the poking department, which feels a bit odd considering the fact that they were just running Sojourn as well, which means they switched off of the Sojourn to Cassidy. It must mean that the Genji from us is that feared, is that respected.
Yeah, very good there from Miami. Good from Pooter Scooter getting up there, getting rid of that turret. That has put a lot of pressure on his Genji. Allows him to really play in a much better position on looking for an angle here to find a pick. He does see Ragix alone there on the right, but he sees that turret get up, pokes it immediately. Nano does come out, and beautiful anti-landing on 3 members of Eastern Michigan, and Pooter just collapses in the backline, falling really low over there. Can he get out? He gets out just barely. Very good movement and timing there, but a lot of the rest of Eastern Michigan is going to be staggered. Very unfortunate. Very smart playing here from Miami. Oh no. Unlucky there from Ragix, and also getting poked out and staggered. Miami pretty much getting this second point for free.
Yes, because of that very staggered engagement, it was just a free walk to the second point, and now leaving them in a position where we have 5 minutes going to the very last point, a long amount of time, and even with our ults having 4 to currently maybe 2, currently 1 though, that it just seems like this is just a matter of ults versus ults, and this is just not going to look well. We have a Sire with a
Ooh.
overclock with a pick. You own the
Ooh.
tank and the Cassie with the Winston Primal against two different other supports, and then knocking a third off the map, leaving us in a position where, if anything, they have to try to force push the point, and maybe with the window in the Brigitte, but it just doesn't feel like it's going to be enough in this moment.
Oh, very good anti though. Nice deflect from On. That was a beautiful anti though on the back line of Eastern Michigan. They do stuff pushed a little bit, but not enough because Sire's just in the back laying waste. Or he was up top, just sitting alone, nothing really on him. Alfonso taking a little dip into the lava there. Very good first round for Miami, getting more time, I believe, than they started with, which is not something you see very often. That was wonderful there. Probably their best showing on King's Row for the first attack yet. And it does seem like they're a little excited in the back room. Very nice there. On playing very well on this Genji. Boosker on the Monkey, something I love to see, but we haven't seen as much just because Diva is available a lot of times and is a better dive tank in the current meta.
Yes, I was honestly expecting Pooter to pull out Diva. When I saw the Winston, I knew that it was going to be a good pick still, but I was just wondering exactly how strong of a pick versus the usual Zarya matchup, especially in a situation where Ryan's not the meta, where you can still use Zarya to have this type of brawl in the close range corridor of the spawn point of the attack, at least. It seems like, if anything, now we are pushing with a Hazard and potentially a Widow. A little bit of confidence coming from Miami's side. I'm assuming. Okay, never mind. A little bit of a clickbait going towards Symmetra and Soldier instead, but still a very strong aggression showing from Miami. It will be up to Michigan to try to figure out exactly what they can do with all this overwhelming presence from Genji, from Soldier, but now even from Symmetra's side, just going to be a very large outpour of AoE.
Yeah, gonna be a lot of annoying problems here for Odsal on that Winston with On and Cooper Scooter, putting out a lot of pressure, doing a lot of damage to him. He's gonna have to figure out a way to play around the statue. A little bit of a laggy there in the stream, may have been frozen there for a few seconds, and we get fixed it. On getting knocked out by Rachis from a long shot immediately. That's very good there. Beautiful anti, but Cooper Scooter might fall over the anti. They weren't prepared for a same healing comp there from Eastern Michigan. Luckily, Miami here was treating to this back line. They do decide just to not play it. Oh, beautiful anti there, forcing the Monkey off the back line to go high. On switching back over to the Genji from this Metro, realizing it's a better play here. However, a lot of cap percent already for Eastern Michigan. Miami really has to play around this and get onto the point. Kansas on the first scooter getting bubbled immediately and anti. The Yana switch is not playing into Miami's favor right now. On is falling really low on the point, and unfortunately, I think a lot of Miami will just have to back up. I do believe Pooter will be switching off the Hazard just because Ana is such a big counter for him.
Yes, if anything, I was really hopeful for this Hazard, but it just seems like this Ana anti-nade just keeps putting a lot of aggression on Miami, the type of aggression that I was wondering exactly how we would respond to. But now that we have a backline flank, it looks like, no, it was a flank from the Winston, they will have a chance to capture it. But still, even with that happening, we have a bunch of switches happening from one side, leaving us in a position where we will have a corridor fight, potentially a Nano versus a Love. Now again, a Torbjorn.
Oh, nice. He hits the melee and gets the dash on there. A little bit of finicky aim, but he does get the melee with that increased damage from the Nano. Managing to get that reset and dash in the mix as well. Very good there. On trying to be a little aggressive here. He does have that blade, so he can be viable to do that. Pooter already 70% ult. We see his mastery on this character that is his Orisa. And of course, Alfonso onto the Wuyan, giving a little bit more extra damage, realizing that a lot of Eastern Michigan isn't really playing a dive-heavy comp right now anymore. So he's like, I'll just go the damage. It'll work out. Because he doesn't need to protect Nitrous Oxide as much. And he still kind of held Nitrous Oxide out with that little speed ring. Or not the speed ring, the healing ring, I believe it was.
Yes, if anything, I was expecting there to be a Torball right there. And seeing that there wasn't, now they have to go into a different fight. But even with that being said, they lose the fight with their Kainu. And now it seems like it's going to be a bunch of cleanup, where even if they get an engagement right now, it's much more about trying to get as much meters as possible than actually trying to win the fight.
Big ante there, huge timing from Miami. Very smart there from Buddha, waiting out of the Brigade ult completely. Nitrous Oxide hitting a massive team up there with Buddha Scooter with his ult. Very well timed, stopping that push in its tracks before it even happened. They didn't even realize Nitrous Oxide was there, but they did manage to pick him off. And unfortunately, Ostrov, one of the slowest characters to get back on King's Row.
Yes, if anything, I was expecting that to be where they could acknowledge that they were trying to get as much meter pulling as possible, but it just seemed like they just were too focused on trying to get the kill. And as soon as that anti-nade came around, they just had no response at all, leaving them in a very odd position right now. Now being a minute gone from where they were before, and having to respond with a nano just to survive. And even with that, they can't get a kill. Now forcing their own ult, where even with that, they couldn't even. Oh, now being from Miami's side, that was Miami's ult, forcing them to be able to get a chance to aggress. And now because of this, forcing them to lose, forcing Michigan to lose their tank, and now a domino effect where we have won another team fight, getting into the last 3 to 4 fights now, where we now are even getting a chance to do a couple flanks on the high ground now, keeping them in a very opposition. I wonder if they can tell if this will be a Genji v Genji battle or this will be another low ground battle.
And Anti does come in and on looking for the pick on. Beautiful hit, getting the Brig immediately, trying to get this Ana as well. Doesn't manage to pick it up, but he may want to try running away. Otso though popped grab there. What was he doing? Big popping grab there was a huge mistake, already losing 2 of his team members. He needed not to, and he didn't even really hit anyone with it. He was trying to grab on, I believe. And a little bit of a show off there from Pooter hitting the puppy on him. But we'll see how Eastern Michigan responds. Miami still having these huge ults built up. Using only 1 ult every round to win a fight is very nice. And also pop and grab there kind of ruined the tempo for Eastern Michigan, whatever tempo they did have. So we will see what they decide to do on dueling this other Genji on this high ground. Ragix trying to find a little bit of an angle. And we probably will see the blade coming out from on soon. Just trying to get another fight win with it. Oh, the Genji does dive in for a little bit of a counterplay. Oh, beautiful there. Another anti-nade coming in from both sides. Hooter managing to get Ragix into it and on cleaning it up.
Now putting them in a very odd position where they have no chance but to do maybe 2 more fights. And it seems like, if anything, now they're rushing multiple ults back to back. The Zarya ult being rushed, a High Noon now being rushed, and now having only maybe a Nano, which they have now used to try to force something. And it's just not enough, nor is it enough time to be doing it, where even now, even though there was a pick made, this is in the last fight territory. And now with a pick from Pooter on 2 different characters, now leaving us in the position where it's just a matter of just playing the waiting game. Pooter literally showing his dominance as the tank. And now even with all the oppression from the DPS, we are in the very last fight territories with 2 ults versus maybe 2 ults as well. But I just don't think that there's enough time to really get a good push all the way from first point to second point.
The blade does come out from Michigan, but the reverse the tide onto Sire, picking him off, rooting that for Ragix. And the ult comes out on hitting the nano, bursting down next with the normal left clicks. And then bursting on Aurora's skull. Then another pick probably here onto Rose, and that's going to be the cleanup. Miami winning VAP 2, 3-1 on Kings Row. Very good showing there. Looking better on Kings Row than they have in previous times. And honestly, Eastern Michigan not really adapting well. And even though they were counter-tanky a lot of times, the Zarya into Uilas was positive. But I will say Miami just had better strats all around the board. There's not much they could have done in that situation. I do think so far what we've seen, it does seem a little bit of a difference between the fact of Miami being so much more coordinated and team ready than Eastern Michigan. Eastern Michigan does seem a little bit like they're trying to play just regular comp right now. They're not used to this high coordinated play as much as Miami are. And Miami have been practicing together and screwing for a long time now, nearly 3 to 4 weeks. So we will probably be seeing a lot more of this style from them. And they're playing this so well, going 2-0 in this series so far. They're going to get one more win and they'll get going 2-2. And Eastern Michigan will go 0-4 which isn't that good of a look. But we will see what both teams decide to pick. It does seem that Eastern Michigan decided to pick Rialto, which is a escort map, which unfortunately is Miami's worst mode. But we'll see how they do on it. There's only been one escort map we've won so far, and that was Gibraltar, which is unfortunate. But Miami have been improving a lot, and Eastern Michigan does ban the Tracer on the side of Miami, which I don't think was that much of a problem for them. On was only on the Tracer that last bit a little bit. They may be grasping for straws here for bans on the side of Eastern Michigan. And Miami, we don't know what they'll ban, but I think they if it is Rialto, they most likely will go. I do wonder what they'll ban actually.
You know, it's actually interesting because I actually did not expect this to go down where they picked a second ban towards On, but a bunch of targeted bans with On, even with On playing Tracer. What was it? A minute and a half at best. Mainly getting the nano boost from that process. I'm curious to know if it's because of the engagement or maybe because of not just trying to deal with all these off angles. But now that we've banned Zarya, it seems like we're trying to force more of a hybrid battle, if maybe not, maybe a Winston battle. But even with that, I just feel like we are just on a completely different level of aggression versus Michigan. It just seems like no matter what, even with the Kings Row battles, it seemed like no matter what, they were just having to do a lot of fights where revolving around Ana at best. Everyone else had been kind of behind in the all economy bracket, or at the very least, the matchup themselves just seemed like they were very one sided, where they just couldn't show an advantage beyond just the Ana v Ana. And even with that, it was more based on the anti-nades than the actual gameplay or the positioning or the situational awareness itself.
Yeah, very good to hear from Miami. We do get to see the second Zarya ban. Each team now has banned Zarya at least once, which in the 3-game series so far is very interesting. It doesn't seem like the teams want to really play Zarya all that much. And Rialto, I think this may be the first time we are seeing Rialto in the ESC so far for our team. So we'll see how Miami plays on it. It is one I don't think they've played all too much. So we will see how they do. We will be going on a little bit of a break here while they get loaded in, and we'll rejoin you once again on Rialto.
And we are back with a Rialto battle, going with potentially a Diva versus Sigma. I'm assuming there's going to be some changes here from Pooter, but even with that, okay, Winston. I was expecting there to be a change, but if anything, it will be up to Michigan to try to show some defense, and it seems like they have chosen to go with the Symmetra, most likely going over the last couple of days that we've had, trying to abuse any weaknesses they potentially can. They went for the Genji, they went for the Tracer, and now they're trying to go against how we handle projectiles versus hit scans and anything energy projectiles, if that. Most likely just not going to be enough, but we'll see exactly how they respond to it. Miami pulling out a Pharah Mercy combo. Very interesting. I'm not used to seeing this combo. If anything, this should be interesting to see exactly what the intentions are behind this.
I mean, going into double DPS like Symmetra and May, it's not actually that terrible of a DPS and healing duo. The only problem they have will be that Diva, but she does manage to get away luckily, and we were just kind of being a nuisance on the backline, as is accordance with Ball. Sire on the Genji, not on his scan DPS roll. Unfortunately, might go down there. Nope, he gets out luckily. Nice slam there from Buddha, trying to get the Diva out of the mech. It's not working out too well there. He is trying to find a little bit of an angle on playing. Very defensive here, which you kind of have to in the current meta when trying to play this far, and he does. The Diva does go for a little bit of a trying to dive him, and they're so low, and on gets, Sire gets a double kill with the dash because they were all so bursted down. making this diva, this ball Farha Genji comp work. Absolutely wonderful.
Yes, they actually forced them into a corner for at least 30 seconds of that entire fight where they were trying to continuously kite back, but the kiting was literally just in one spot where it was a constant cause and effect of where all they had to do was just keep Nickling diming it, and it was a result of that finishing. Now Farah getting a kill on Brigitte, even after the point getting captured, meaning the Brigitte has to respawn all the way at third point, leaving them in another position where if they do not kite back soon, this could be another domino effect against Eastern Michigan. And now with a double dive from Farah and Ball, oh no, this is just going to have to be a very big regroup from Michigan side. This is going very southward, and now they only have Symmetra and Diva in the front line, but that's just not enough.
The barrage comes out, hitting Nix and Rose, knocking them down out of the fight immediately. Alfonso does pop the nano onto Sire, and a little too ults used there. The nano not really getting much value, unfortunately, but they already won the fight due to the barrage with the power boost. Just Oxide on Mercy, not a character who's really played all that much. We'd usually see this coming out from Killian, our one sub support, but not here currently to play it. It will be a little bit unfortunate for her to realize that, but very interesting what we'll see here. Oh, unfortunate there from Sire. Kind of have to be a little bit more attentive to the situation. And that Buddha scooter getting blown up, and a very big yell we heard from him in the back behind us. Very nice there. I kind of want to go back and VOD that later and want to see what his reaction was. I think he may have thought he was behind a pillar, or maybe not. Maybe a little bit of his hitbox was out. Maul is kind of a very big character.
Yeah, they actually had a very good chance to re-engage that, but I guess there was just maybe a couple frames to a head. But now, even with that, coming right back and getting a double kill with the help of On with this fire just seems to have been an oppressive thorn in their side, removing all fear from the Symmetra, and now leaving them in a position where they're constantly making a stagger happen. And even right now, they're forcing a bit of a terrible stagger from the Diva side, and now in a position where they can just get a free walk with no ends of having a rebuttal from the tank department.
Honestly, this Far is not a bad pick into Symmetra at all. The only thing is, honestly, Far might not be a pick in general right now when teams are running these double flex comps like they were at the start there. The barrage does come out. He does manage to pick Aurora. That is the biggest target for him because he is playing a flyer. He really needs to play this carefully. They will try to get another pick here. It does seem like the fight's already over before it even began for Eastern Michigan. They're going to try getting out of mech. The ult does come out from Rose, but it's too late. Both heroes fall down. High Noon comes out from Aurora, and Aurora manages to pick Nitrous Oxide there. Very unfortunate. We were trying to stay alive, trying to get out of the fight a little bit. Only with Alfonso on the Ana, which isn't his best character.
Now leaving them in the position where this might lag out.
Ooh, connection issue, unfortunately, there. Don't know really what happened. Everyone's kind of just sliding everywhere. May have had a interesting pause there. Unfortunately, kind of just lagging out altogether. Very interesting. Yeah, actually, it might have been a full server-wide DC, it seems, from what we saw in the chat there. Don't know what happened. I think Overwatch kind of imploded on itself. Maybe they were trying to do a little bit of a quick patch like side patch. Maybe it is Thursday, trying to do a little bit sneaky patch, but unfortunately, it does seem they all got kicked off. Maybe a little bit of a server issue going around it. It's definitely not just in only our state, considering where Eastern Michigan is located. So we'll see what they decide to do. But we will be going on a break here while we get some of this problem figured out. So we'll see you all in a few moments. And we are back into the game. We did get that connection sorted out very easily there. And Otto does pick Sire because he was in a very bad position thanks to that DC. But Miami does have 3 minutes here on Rialto to get this point. And we do see Puter on the ball trying to find a bit of an angle. Sire is back with the blade. Alfonso falling really low. Puter does manage to get Rage X. A very good pick for the side of Miami. He is falling quite low. They're trying to find these health packs to get in and get out. Sorry, looking for an angle to pop this blade. We were going in with the minefield, covering the entire payload. There's the blade, finding a pick in the power boost from Miami. Thanks to that Mercy. And that BAP survived 3 slashes there. Very interesting that he did. Oh, hit that last shot. And I don't know what he was getting lasered there by. Very interesting. They trying to get this D.Va. He's staggering so well. D.Va just staying alive through thick and thin. Throws falling to the shooter. The ult does come out, managing to pick Otzel as well. The nano comes out, just bursting down all of Eastern Michigan, and beautiful move around the corner. Round 1 complete. Miami full capping Rialto, playing a very unorthodox comp that they're not really known for playing. Granted, the Fire, not that bad of a pick in the Symmetra, all things considered.
Oh no, really just forcing Eastern Michigan to really have to constantly be on the back burner most of this fight. It seems like just like the last 2 fights, it's reminding us back to the Lijiang Tower map where they were just constantly in the room the entire time. But now an even worse version where there's constantly just 1, maybe 2 people that are killed off a little bit too early, and that because of this not being a engagement where they completely reset early enough, it seems like they're just constantly in a fight, in a situation where they're in a numbers deficit, and now resulting in a position where it's all the way up to just a little bit less than what they started with. But still, even with that, just too much effort from Miami's side to just keep them from being able to even get comfortable with Symmetra. A pick that was originally supposed to be something that they used to counteract against this aggression from Genji, from Soldier, and from Tracer, now coming a little bit as a backfire thanks to the Mercy Farah pocket. And now they get a chance to attack themselves, but if anything, it will now be up to having to react against a Hog, against a Life Weaver, and against a Widow.
Yeah, another interesting comp you're running from Miami University. This isn't one they really play all that much, but it is a comp they've had in their back pocket for a little while. But honestly, mostly just the DPS side is a little interesting for what I've seen before. It does seem like they're trying to put this little offensive side. Hooter looking for a pull off the map, doesn't hit it, but he's still going to keep looking for it because this is probably the best spot for a Hog to find a pull. Sire playing way far back because he knows that D.Va could dive him very easily. Alfonso also looking for a boop, trying to find an angle for it. Just putting in some poke damage there. The hook does come out, does miss. That D.Va's still on the high ground, bullying Miami's backline, but not really be able to get anything through with it. Alfonso does fall back a little bit, trying to get some peel for the rest of his team. On just trying to find some random pot shots. Ooh, yep, good back off there from Miami, and honestly, not a bad strategy here from Eastern Michigan, trying to get to that high ground to get a little bit of space, but now they left the payload all alone. Now there's just a Hog sitting on it. That's the unfortunate part, that they don't really know where to go from here. They're just kind of just sitting around, not really much is happening. Alfonso and Puder ready for the pull-up by the payload. It does seem like a lot of Eastern Michigan trying to deal with the double sniper in the back, but unfortunately the payload's just kind of sitting there.
I don't think they're really understanding that even with this fight where they want to get kills as the primary objective, the objective is to push the payload for this objective. And now with this flank coming from Hog, even if they don't want to like it, this just is not enough to try to get this engagement going. And now with a Hog pick on their DPS, leaving them in a DPS deficit, they're just stuck sitting on the top of the high ground waiting to see what the next move is. And that's not enough for this objective. They are in a position where they need to be able to figure out what the next move is. They are keeping themselves where they're in the last 4 fights, and they haven't even barely had any engagements. Another pick off from Puder, and they just now have gotten a pick off with Lucio, but now with just a little bit of kiting and maybe a pull from Lifeweaver, it's just nothing that they can do. They have to go back to resetting. maybe getting a chance. Oh, a pick from Sire with a headshot clean off the same Cassie that just came back from spawn. Now putting them in a position where the Symmetra has to potentially engage to get something going. But now with this Diva pushing by themselves, there's just no, it's just a constantly a one-man show, and the entire show being from Miami side. It's just nothing that it seems like Michigan can do to respond. Everything is responded to. Everything is over pushed with the ults, with the situation awareness, with the target priority.
Yeah, very good here from Miami University. Having some fun with these unorthodox challenges, still playing very good games here. Alfonso trying to dodge this Diva. I mean, they seem to get away very, very quickly. Ragix falling again at 2 Scooter. Oh, unfortunately, did not grab the health pack in time, and now the Diva's just in the back line putting in some pressure. Falling very low there. Oh, nearly a nice headshot. Didn't charge up all the way there. Not unfortunate there for Sire. Screw did fall because he was stuck alone with Anana and the rest of the enemy team. And unfortunately, Nexus Ox, I couldn't find a pull angle on him. But there's only 30 seconds left for Eastern Michigan, and they gotta make a push happen now.
Yes, they got a good chance to get this last engagement going, and now thanks to this time period they took to have the Lucio regroup everyone, they have more than enough time to get a last push. But unfortunately, getting a little bit too energetic, not really pushing that objective that they had a good chance to keep. And now putting themselves in a position where now Miami might be on the opposite side of this, where Hog has to get right back to their team, but is having to face 3 people on payload first. It might have to be a bit of a wipe from his side, but he might be trying to see exactly what he can take with him, what he can do first. Oh, a pull from Lifeweaver to Captain Save the Day.
And then he gets a hook
off the hook, too.
I love that from Pooter. Hog, not really a tank he's best known for, but that was wonderful timing there. Very good from Nexus Oxide. Playing a support he doesn't really play all that often, too. Making very good use of that pull, which is Lifeweaver's strongest ability, most likely.
Yes, I really don't think that they expected there to be a pull right there. I think they expected it to be a clean sweep of just getting the payload move. So as soon as they got a chance to get everything moving, it was nothing that could. I'll be honest with you. I'm kind of thrown off by the flank pick, but I'm assuming this is going to be a bit of a strategy from Lucio and Lifeweaver, or Hog and Lifeweaver. I'm assuming, yes, there's a last second pull from the side of Miami side, getting them through the middle, and now putting them in a position where they now are in the middle of both teams, trying to get a chance to get a flank going. But it just seems like it's too late to flank anything, as we now, from Miami side, has only to deal with the Diva and maybe Symmetra, but even now the Symmetra's gone, now putting them in a last 2 fight deficit, all because they did not notice the flank fast enough from Miami side.
Oh, very bullying there, getting that full stagger out for Miami. Now we have on fighting a double headshot on the Rose. And for very, very close there from Booter. That was nearly not a very good thing to happen there. Losing a Hog that early is very, very bad. But Miami here just trying to have some fun on this 3rd point. Eastern Michigan only having one really good push left. And Poodle Scooter, and Aurora falling immediately again. Sire getting a little bit over aggressive there. Alfonso finding a boop on the Rage. Again, Eastern Michigan is down 2 before the fights even really began.
You can really tell how comfortable Miami is against this team from how they're showing right now. It's just very one-sided. It just seems like even with this pick going off, yes, they have a chance to have an engagement without the tank, but even with that, their current tank is currently demexed, and now without a support, it's just a matter of 4v4, and now with us switching the dual fist, we might get back to the fight before they get a remech going. It'll now be up to seeing how well Michigan can try to get this remech going. They got a remech finally, but now they have a Symmetra wall on top of maybe that's it to deal with. It might just be it right here, as they don't have enough time to get anything else done.
Sire Sergianiana did winning the duel against Rose there. Unfortunately, there's only really 2 left. Just a lot of results coming out from Miami. And that, I believe, will be the series. Miami takes it 3-0. Having some fun that last game, realizing they are just the better team in this series. So they're just like, hey, let's try some wacky stuff out. and it did pay off. Miami wins that series 3-0. And Puda Scooter getting the ball play of the game. He was causing a lot of issues for this team. And unfortunately, there was getting stuck in that corner, and the barrage coming out from on playing this far quite well, actually. But yeah, so that was the final game of the ESC for this week for Overwatch. However, on another announcement, this Sunday we are streaming I believe the semifinals and finals for Miami's Greatest for Overwatch. Very interesting to see a lot of the top players that you see playing right now, and even some of the clubs, some players you haven't seen before, will be playing in that tournament. We will be hopefully streaming that out on Sunday. Don't know the exact timestamp though, so keep a lookout on social medias and shrines and other areas around campus and, of course, the internet. But that will be it for tonight. Miami going 2-2 now in the ESC NACE conference, looking very good against Eastern Michigan. Eastern Michigan falling to 0-5. Very unfortunate. I think that will dash their hopes of reaching the LAN for this season. But we will be back with more Overwatch next Tuesday, I believe. Will be the next time you see us for the ESC. Oh, or not ESC. Is it ESC? Yes, I think we do have a match for ESC or the QCC on Tuesday next week. We will see you all then.